In the quiet dawn of a new day, steam rises from a simple cup. Wow. Its dark, comforting liquid holds a story that spans continents and centuries. This is coffee. It is a daily ritual for billions of people. It is a force that has shaped cultures, fueled economies, sparked revolutions. The journey of this small bean is an epic of nature and human endeavor. It begins in the ancient, misty forests of a single continent and travels across every ocean. From a wild berry to a global commodity, coffee has woven itself into the fabric of our lives. It connects the remote farmer on a distant mountainside to the city dweller seeking a moment of peace. This essay will trace coffee's remarkable path through history. We will move slowly and carefully, observing its journey with a happy and steady gaze. We will begin in its ancestral home, listening to the legends and looking at the hard evidence of its origins. The story of coffee often begins with a legend. It is the tale of a young goat herder in Ethiopia named Kaldi. One day he noticed his goats became unusually energetic and seemed to dance after eating the red berries from a particular bush. Curious, Kaldi tried the berries himself and felt a surge of alertness and joy. He shared his discovery with a local monk who found the berries helped him stay awake through long hours of nightly prayer. While this story is a wonderful one, passed down through generations, historians have found no concrete evidence to verify it. It remains a powerful myth, a simple way to explain a profound discovery. The true origin of coffee is more subtle, yet just as fascinating. The coffee plant, specifically the species known as Coffea arabica, is native to the forested highlands of Ethiopia. For centuries, before it was ever brewed as a hot drink, the indigenous Oromo people used coffee. They would grind the ripe coffee cherries, mix them with animal fat, and form them into small, energy-rich balls. These were provisions for long journeys, providing sustenance and stimulation. This early use shows a deep practical knowledge of the plant's properties. It was not a drink for leisure, but a tool for survival and endurance, deeply embedded in the local culture. The landscape of Ethiopia is the perfect cradle for coffee. Kaffa, Harar, Sidamo. Coffee trees still grow wild under the canopy of larger forest trees. The rich volcanic soil, the high altitudes, and the distinct rainy and dry seasons create the ideal conditions for the beans to develop their complex and nuanced flavors. Coffee's journey out of Ethiopia was a short one, a simple crossing of the Red Sea to the Arabian Peninsula. It found its next home in the mountainous terrain of Yemen. Here, in the 15th century, the story of coffee took a critical turn. It was in Yemen that coffee cultivation began in earnest. The people of Yemen were the first to transform coffee from a foraged wild plant into a deliberately farmed crop. They developed sophisticated methods of agriculture, carving intricate terraces into the steep mountainsides to create level ground for the coffee shrubs. The initial spread of coffee as a beverage in Yemen is closely linked to the region's Sufi mystics. These religious communities use the drink to aid their spiritual practices. The caffeine in the brew helped them stay awake and focused during long nights of prayer and meditation, known as dhikr. The drink, called kahwa, became a central part of their communal life. From these religious circles, the use of coffee gradually spread to the general population. It moved from the monastery to the home to the marketplace, becoming a popular social beverage enjoyed by people from all walks of life. As cultivation grew, so did trade. For nearly 2 centuries, Yemen held a global monopoly on the coffee trade. All coffee exported to the rest of the world came from its ports. The most famous of these was the port of Mocha. To protect their valuable monopoly, Yemeni rulers forbade the export of fertile coffee beans or live plants. All beans leaving the port were first roasted or boiled to ensure they could not be germinated. Traders flocked to Yemen's ports, eager to purchase the wine of Araby. Once coffee left Yemen, it spread rapidly throughout the Islamic world. Its journey followed the major trade routes and pilgrimage routes. By the early 16th century, it had reached the holy city of Mecca. and the grand city of Cairo. Soon after, it arrived in Istanbul, the heart of the powerful Ottoman Empire. In these bustling urban centers, a new kind of public institution emerged: the coffee house. Known in Arabic as kahve-khane, these establishments were the first public places where people could gather specifically to drink coffee, converse, and socialize outside of the home or the mosque. These coffee houses quickly became vibrant centers of social life and intellectual life. They were places where men from all social classes could mingle. Merchants, scholars, government officials, and artisans would sit together on cushioned benches, sipping the strong, dark brew from small cups. They were not just places to drink. They were hubs of information and entertainment. Patrons would play games like chess and backgammon, listen to storytellers and poets, and hear musicians perform. News and gossip were exchanged, and business deals were struck. This new culture of public conversation consistently made religious and political authorities nervous. Rulers periodically attempted to ban coffee and close the coffee houses. However, the drink's popularity was so immense that these prohibitions were always short-lived and ultimately failed. The coffee house became the living room of the city, a vital space for public discourse. A third place, a space between home and work, that would be replicated across the globe as coffee continued its relentless march westward. Coffee made its formal entry into Europe in the 17th century, carried by the enterprising merchants of Venice. With their extensive trade networks in the eastern Mediterranean, the Venetians were the first to bring coffee beans to the continent in significant quantities. Initially, it was sold by street vendors and regarded as a medicinal tonic. However, the first European coffee house opened in Venice in 1645, and the idea quickly caught on. From Italy, the coffee craze swept across the continent, finding particularly fertile ground in England, France, and Austria. In London, coffee houses exploded in popularity in the mid-17th century. They became known as penny universities. For the price of a penny, which bought a cup of coffee, any man could enter and listen to the conversations of the city's brightest minds. These were democratic spaces where social rank was less important than the quality of one's knowledge. Scientists, writers, merchants, and politicians gathered to debate the latest news and ideas. Different coffee houses attracted different clientele. Some were frequented by financiers, leading to the birth of institutions like Lloyd's of London, while others were hubs for scientists, paving the way for the Royal Society. Across the English Channel, the Parisian café took on a different, more artistic and revolutionary character. Places like Café Procope became the favored haunts of Enlightenment thinkers such as Voltaire, Rousseau, and Diderot. Here, amidst the clatter of cups and the intense haze of intellectual fervor, the ideas that would fuel the French Revolution were debated and disseminated. In Vienna, the coffeehouse tradition took root after the Battle of Vienna in 1683. Legend has it that the retreating Ottoman army left behind sacks of coffee beans, which were then used to open the town's first coffeehouse. Viennese coffeehouses evolved into elegant, comfortable establishments. Patrons would linger for hours, a tradition that continues to define the city's cultural life to this day. The immense popularity of coffee in Europe created a powerful economic incentive to control its production. The European colonial powers were determined to break the Arab monopoly on cultivation. They embarked on a mission to plant coffee in their tropical colonies around the world, climates that they hoped would mimic the highlands of Ethiopia and Yemen. This effort was a key part of the colonial enterprise, driven by a desire for wealth and strategic control over a valuable commodity. The Dutch were among the first to succeed, smuggling coffee seedlings out of Yemen in the late 17th century. The Dutch established vast coffee plantations on the island of Java, in what is now Indonesia. The phrase "a cup of Java" became a nickname for coffee, a direct result of the island's massive production. Following the Dutch, the French transported coffee plants to their colonies. Following the Dutch, the British transported coffee plants to their colonies. The French introduced coffee to the Caribbean island of Martinique, from which it spread throughout Latin America. The British established coffee cultivation in India and Ceylon, modern-day Sri Lanka. This global expansion of coffee farming fundamentally reshaped the economies and landscapes of these colonized lands. The story of coffee's arrival in Brazil is particularly dramatic. Francisco de Melo Palheta secretly adorned a bouquet containing hidden coffee seedlings. From these few seeds, the Brazilian coffee industry was born. By the 19th century, Brazil's production had exploded, fueled by its vast territory and the use of enslaved labor on enormous plantations known as fazendas. This colonial expansion of coffee cultivation came at a significant human and environmental cost. Vast areas of native forest were cleared to make way for coffee monocultures. The plantation system relied heavily on forced and exploited labor, first through slavery and later through other forms of indentured servitude. The wealth generated by the coffee trade flowed primarily back to the colonial powers in Europe, while the workers who toiled in the fields often lived in poverty and harsh conditions. As coffee cultivation spread across the globe, a deeper understanding of the plant itself began to emerge. Though there are over 100 species in the Coffea genus, 2 have come to dominate the world's commercial coffee production. The first is Coffea arabica, or Arabica. This is the original species from the highlands of Ethiopia. Arabica beans are known for their complex and aromatic flavor profiles, with higher acidity, fruit, flowers, wine. They are more delicate plants, requiring high altitudes, stable temperatures, and specific amounts of rainfall. Because they are more difficult to grow, Arabica beans are generally more expensive and highly prized. The second major species is Coffea canephora, commonly known as Robusta. As its name suggests, Robusta is a hardier plant. It can grow in hotter climates and at lower altitudes, and it is more resistant to disease. Robusta beans have a much stronger, bolder, and more bitter flavor, often described as rubbery or chocolatey. They also contain significantly more caffeine than Arabica beans, often twice as much. Due to its lower production costs and bold flavor, Robusta is frequently used in instant coffee and as a component in espresso blends to produce a thick, stable crema. Most of the world's coffee is a blend of these 2 species. Beyond the species, coffee experts have come to understand the profound impact of terroir, the unique environmental factors of the place where coffee is grown. Just like with wine grapes, the soil, climate, and altitude all leave their distinct signature on the final flavor of the bean. A coffee grown in the volcanic soil of Guatemala will taste different from one grown in the monsoonal climate of India. An Ethiopian coffee from a high altitude will have bright floral notes, while a Brazilian coffee from a lower elevation may have a nutty, chocolatey character. The late 20th and early 21st centuries saw the rise of a new culture of coffee appreciation, often called the Third Wave. This movement shifted the focus away from mass-market commodity coffee and toward coffee as an artisanal product. It champions a deeper understanding of the bean's journey, from specific origin to the final brewed cup. Third Wave enthusiasts care about details: the farm or cooperative where the beans were grown, the specific variety of the coffee plant, the method used to process the cherries, the precise roast profile that brings out its best flavors. A key principle is the celebration of single-origin coffee. Rather than blending for uniformity, specialty roasters highlight unique flavor profiles from a particular farm, region, or country. Experience distinct terroir: Yirgacheffe, Ethiopia; Tarrazú, Costa Rica; Aceh, Sumatra. Brewing methods shifted to showcase clarity and nuance. Pour-over drippers, the AeroPress, sophisticated espresso machines. The barista is a skilled craftsperson and guide. Alongside flavor came social and environmental conscience. Consumers began asking hard questions about the economics of coffee. Were farmers paid a fair price for their labor? This concern gave rise to fair trade certification, and to direct trade relationships. Fair trade programs guarantee a minimum price and promote sustainable farming. Direct trade. Roasters buy directly from farmers, often paying a premium and building long-term partnerships. Cities transformed. Minimalist, light-filled cafes and micro-roasteries opened. These spaces serve as shops and educational centers for tasting and learning. The approach became almost scientific. Baristas use scales, timers, thermometers. The journey of coffee through history has left an indelible mark on the world, creating a legacy that is both rich and complex. Economically, coffee is one of the most traded agricultural commodities on the planet. The livelihoods of an estimated 25 million families depend on coffee cultivation, mostly in developing countries in the bean belt near the equator. The global coffee market connects these small farmers to multinational corporations, to international traders, and to local roasters, all linked in a vast and intricate supply chain. For many nations in Latin America, in Africa, and in Asia, coffee exports are a crucial source of foreign exchange and a cornerstone of national economies. Culturally, coffee has been a powerful agent of change. The coffee house, from Mecca to Parisian salons to modern cafes, has been a space for social connection, for intellectual exchange, and for artistic creation. It fostered the public sphere during the Enlightenment, provided meeting grounds for revolutionaries, and still serves as a third place for communities. Daily rituals, the solitary morning cup, the Italian espresso break, the communal Ethiopian ceremony, are woven into social life, giving moments of comfort, energy, and connection. But the history of coffee has shadows. Expansion of cultivation was entangled with colonialism and with exploitation. Large-scale plantations led to deforestation and environmental degradation. The industry was built on the backs of exploited laborers. For centuries, enslaved people worked in brutal conditions. After abolition, many workers still faced low wages, poor working conditions, and economic insecurity, problems that persist today. Movements like fair trade and direct trade aim to address this history. They push for a more equitable and sustainable industry, to honor farmers' labor, and to protect coffee-growing environments. The long journey of coffee from a wild shrub in the Ethiopian highlands to the meticulously prepared cup in a modern cafe is a story about human curiosity and connection. It is a tale of how one small seed traveled the world, changing societies and creating new traditions wherever it went. For centuries, people have been captivated by this drink, driven by a desire to cultivate it, trade it, and perfect its preparation. This enduring passion is a testament to coffee's unique ability to stimulate the mind, comfort the soul, and bring people together. The search for the best bean is not simply about finding the most pleasing flavor. This quest is also a search for connection. A connection to the earth, to a specific place on the map, and to the people whose hands have tended the plant. When we learn that a coffee has notes of jasmine and citrus, we are tasting the high-altitude air and rich soil of a particular valley. When we choose to buy beans from a farm that practices sustainable agriculture and pays its workers a fair wage, we are participating in a global community of care. Today, that quest faces new challenges. A changing climate threatens the delicate ecosystems where the finest Arabica beans grow. Farmers must innovate to survive, developing new plant varieties and adapting their agricultural practices to a warmer world. The economic pressures on small growers remain immense. Yet the passion for coffee endures and evolves. Scientists, agronomists, roasters, and baristas continue to push the boundaries of quality, exploring new processing methods and refining their craft. So, the next time you hold a warm cup, take a moment to reflect on its incredible journey. In every fragrant, life-giving cup, the epic journey of coffee continues.